we've got this. Our main guy, Age of Wrestling, is back with more of his absolutely insane wrestling Iceberg videos. You can see in the side here what he's already done. He's got the wrestling shoots Iceberg, tragic endings in wrestling Iceberg, wrestling lost media Iceberg, wrestling sex scandals Iceberg, NXT Iceberg, the definitive TNA Iceberg. I think the craziest one of all was just to do a whole hour-long Chris Benoit Iceberg. I think that is fucking insane. But he has returned with the Paranormal WWE Iceberg. Conspiracies, time travelers, Mandela effects. I don't know what crazy batshit insane things he's gonna spew in this video, but I'm so excited to find out. So let's get into this, man. Let's not waste any more time.
Wrestling has always blurred the line between reality and performance, but what happens when the strange, the unexplained, and the paranormal start breaking through the ropes? In this video, we're diving deep into the dark side of professional wrestling. Ghost stories, haunted locker rooms, Mandela effects, theories of sacrifices, time travelers, and conspiracies so bizarre that they blur the line between fiction and reality. These aren't just forgotten angles or urban legends. These are the moments that make you question everything. This is the Paranormal Wrestling Iceberg. Disclaimer: this video is intended for mature audiences and is made for educational and documentary purposes. The entries discussed in this iceberg are meant to be thoroughly analyzed with the viewer's intuition and personal judgment. Viewer discretion is advised.
So he's basically saying here is like, don't take what I say seriously, bro. You're supposed to come up with your own thoughts. That's nice.
And we're starting off at the tippity top of the iceberg, Tier 6. With our first entry on Tier 6 being the curse of the Von Erichs.
Well,
few wrestling families have been as celebrated or notorious as the Von Erich family. They were a dynasty of brothers who were wrestling royalties in the late 70s and early 80s. They seemed destined to truly take over the wrestling world, but after they faced tragedy after tragedy, their wrestling legacy was forever tainted. Their tragic story is so famous, in fact, that there's a movie starring Zac Efron called The Iron Claw about their story. The Von Erich curse is often thrown around a lot, but not much is known about the true origin of this curse. This theory stems from Fritz Von Erich, the patriarch of the Von Erichs. During his career, Fritz wanted to portray a bad guy, and he chose a non-character to attract more heat from crowds. Fritz chose this gimmick even though he had no history or connection to Germany. The theory goes that in 1958, a female ghost of a Holocaust survivor put a curse on Fritz as revenge for making light of Nazis. The ghost explained that while she was alive, she had survived the atrocities of the Holocaust, but she had lost 5 of her 6 children in the concentration camps. As retribution, the ghoulish figure placed the same curse on Fritz, one that would see him suffer the same gruesome fate as her. Over the next 40 years, the curse actually materialized, as 5 of the 6 Von Erich boys all died before their own father. And up next, we have time traveling. I didn't
even know that part. I'm sure that's like completely made up and has no like actual like source of like anything, but damn, that's fucked up to think about. I never really think about like what it means for like them to be cursed literally. I guess that happens because he portrayed a Nazi. I mean, dude, other wrestlers have portrayed Nazis. They didn't go through horrific stuff, but yeah, I guess
one of the eeriest theories floating around the world of pro wrestling is that time travelers have attended WWE shows. It all starts at WWE SummerSlam in 1988 when a fan held up a sign that read,
dude, they were a tag team. There was a tag team called the Twin Towers.
Demolition will
Come on, man, you gotta do better than this.
At the time, it was a reference to the tag team Demolition facing off against Akeem and the Big Boss Man, known as the Twin Towers. But this was a full 13 years before the horrific events of 9/11, making his sign feel far more disturbing in hindsight.
He knew.
Another unsettling moment happened during a match between JBL and Rey Mysterio, when a fan held up a sign that said, Triple H fears CM Punk.
That's a cool one.
At that point, CM Punk hadn't even debuted in WWE, and his eventual real-life heat with Triple H wouldn't occur
That's a
until
good prediction.
Years later.
That's a cool one.
Then there's the Mankind versus The Rock
Enzo
segment in
is a jabroni?
when someone in the crowd held up a sign that said, Enzo is a jabroni. Enzo Amore wouldn't appear on WWE television a whole 14 years later.
He is a jabroni,
in 2003, during a Matt Hardy appearance, a fan held up a sign that read, V1 has been deleted.
This one is insane. This is an insane fucking, like, prediction. Like, if you're gonna show any sign, this one's the one. Because, like, yeah, I'll explain.
It seemed meaningless at the time, but in retrospect, it eerily foreshadowed the broken Matt Hardy gimmick, which wouldn't come into existence for another 13 years.
That's a crazy
And up
pull.
next, we have the Mr. Perfect
I love that one.
Mandela effect. There's a phenomenon
Mr.
known
Perfect
as the
Mandela effect. It's that his name is actually Kurt Hennig, Hennig, instead of Kurt Henning, Henning. So that one's
simple. A large
simple.
group of people remember something one way.
It's literally
only
just because
to find out that it never
it makes
happened
sense.
like that at all. It gets its name from the belief that Nelson Mandela died in prison in the 1980s.
I think most people know what
something
the
countless
Mandela
people
effect
from
is,
around the world vividly recall.
Right.
Even though he only officially passed away in 2013. Some say it's faulty memory, but others believe it's something far more disturbing. There's a theory that the Mandela
Alternate
effect is actually
universe.
evidence of the multiverse, a sign that we've slipped through alternate timelines where certain things really did happen differently. And now it's happening in
Oh my
wrestling.
god.
Many fans swear that they remember Mr. Perfect as Kurt Hennig, spelt with an N. They're absolutely certain
Right?
that's how
Isn't
WWE
that certain?
introduced him. But in this timeline, it's Kurt Hennig, and it
Oh,
always has
shit.
been Kurt Hennig. Some say it's mispronunciations from commentators or production crew typos, but even when you see the correct version, it still feels off. And
It's
up
'cause it's
next,
a-
we have Chris Jericho.
That's just a weird like way to spell it. What the fuck is this? Was this because of his show?
Chris Jericho,
His
one of wrestling's
internet
most
show?
iconic performers, once made a bizarre confession on Howie Mandel's podcast.
Oh.
Jericho said he believes that he may have been abducted by aliens, and he wasn't joking. Jericho recalled an incident where he experienced a massive loss of time. He was out driving, and at some point, something shifted, and 3 hours just magically had gone by. One moment he was aware of his surroundings, and the next, hours had just vanished. He had no memory of what happened in between. There were no drugs, no alcohol, no logical explanation. He described it as kind of a blackout, but without the fogginess. Since then, he's openly stated that he believes that it may have been an extraterrestrial encounter.
So you're like,
he's
what
not
the
the only
fuck?
one, because many others, not just in wrestling,
So you
have
like jump
reported
forward
similar
in time-
experiences
in
with
time.
regards to alien abduction. And up next, we have CM Punk.
How is this a
Ice Cream Bar's
conspiracy?
Mandela effect. In the late 80s and early 90s, WWE released a now legendary line of ice cream
Yes.
bars that featured the images of superstars like Andre the Giant,
Well,
Hulk Hogan,
it's not that
and
we,
Randy.
it's not that they were like legendary. They were just kind of like it was just a talking point of CM Punk that like whatever. I'll just let him talk
Savage
about
printed
it.
on the front. Then in 2011, during the height of his rebellious rise, CM Punk cut a promo in the ring with Vince McMahon the week after he did his pipe bomb promo. He demanded the return of those
Yeah.
ice cream bars and insisted that
I
they be
be
one
on it.
with his face on it. And if you ask a lot of fans today, they'll tell you what happened. WWE actually released an ice
Never
cream bar
did.
with Punk's face on
They never did. I will just tell you that right now. Never did.
it. Fans saw it and they remember it. But here's the thing.
No, they
It
didn't.
never happened.
No, they didn't.
WWE only released a t-shirt with Punk's face on an ice cream bar. Years later, they did bring back dessert-themed products with other wrestlers, and when Punk made his AEW debut, he himself had real ice cream bars made and
It's just like an
handed them
inside
out to
joke, yeah.
fans. But those official WWE CM Punk ice cream bars, the ones that people swear they remember,
Never happened.
they don't exist, and they never did. And it makes you wonder, are people remembering
Yes.
wrong? Or are they
Liars.
remembering something
Literal
from another
liars.
timeline? And up next, we have the ghost of Owen
Oh,
Hart
this is
haunting
getting.
Kemper Arena
All right, we've
on
gotten
May
to like almost disrespectful now.
23,
This is fucked up.
1999, professional wrestling changed forever. Owen Hart, the beloved brother of Bret Hart, died during a live WWF pay-per-view as part of his entrance as the Blue Blazer. Owen was said to be lowered from the rafters by cable, but the release mechanism triggered too early and he fell nearly 80 feet, striking the ropes and then the ring. He was rushed to hospital, but it was too late. Ever since that tragic night, the Kemper Arena has been plagued by chilling rumors. Many believe that Owen's spirit still haunts the place where his life ended. A news article confirmed this, saying, employees have claimed to have seen him
What
in
the
the
fuck
rafters
is
wearing
this?
the same costume.
Anchorweb's Haunted America takes a look at the Kemper Arena in their most recent article. They say that in recent years there have been multiple reports of sightings of the ghost of Owen Hart, who in May 1999... regarding Owen, they wrote, employees have claimed to have seen him in the rafters wearing the costume he was wearing for his gimmick, as well as the cable before he began the descent. There have also been reports of flickering lights and other power sources seem to go on and off in some areas of the arena. This is even like a fun like ghost story. This is just sad. I'm just sad reading that.
Costume he was wearing for his gimmick, as well as the cable before he began the descent. There have also been reports of flickering lights and other
Dude, it's an
power sources
arena.
that seem to...
Of course the lights flicker and shit doesn't, power sources go on and off. You know how hard it is to run one of those?
go on and off in some areas of the arena. Maybe it's just bad wiring or stories passed around to stir up old emotions, but others believe that something deeper is at play. No formal paranormal investigation has been done, maybe out of respect, or maybe out of fear.
Okay,
And up next...
That's nice to know they haven't done like an actual thing yet, but because that'd be gross. That's gross.
Next we have the Hell in the Cell Mandela effect. Some Mandela effects...
Hell in a cell. Not hell in the cell. Hell in a cell.
Subtle. Just a single word off. But when the word is tied to violence, legacy, and one of WWE's most iconic...
Oh, how could people misremember that?
Many longtime wrestling fans claim that when WWE introduced its most brutal match type, it was called Hell in the Cell. It makes sense, right? It wasn't just any cell, it was the cell. The one where careers ended and legends were made. And yet, that's not the same name. It never was. From the very beginning, the match has always been called Hell in a Cell, officially without exception. But here's where it gets weird. You can find old promotional material and even some media articles that reference it as Hell in the Cell. So what happened?
Dude,
was it just a mistake?
Shout out to the year 2014 when they had like in big letters, like just above the arena, right next to the cell. That was pretty cool.
That's another
they should
case
bring that
of the
back.
Mandela effect, a glitch in our collective memory. And up next, we have
Chris
Benoit.
So now we're getting super gross.
Chris Benoit was one of the greatest wrestlers of his generation. But in late June 2007, his legacy was tarnished forever when he took the lives of his wife, son, and himself. There's something deeply unsettling about a home where so much horror unfolded. A place once filled with the family's laughter and life, now forever overshadowed by the darkness of what happened inside its walls. Chris Benoit's house at 130 Green Meadow Lane in Fayetteville, Georgia, was once nearly worth $900,000, a reflection of Chris Benoit's success and status. But after the tragedy of June 2007, it became something else entirely, a property that no one wanted to touch, a house with a history people wanted to forget. For 2 years, the house sat untouched, a silent monument to the horrifying events that had taken place inside. Then in 2009, the house sold for a mere $287,000, a fraction of its original value.
Holy shit, that was right when the house market fucking crashed too, bro. Damn. Maybe that's what it caused it, but like, third of its price?
An anonymous owner, someone who took possession of the house, but seemingly didn't want attention drawn to it.
I wouldn't.
Despite its dark past, the house was never torn down. To this day, people still live there, trying to move on from its infamous reputation.
Thanks for just telling me
the house continues to attract unexpected visitors, curious
that's fucked up.
who
That's
want
like
to
the only
stand
thing
outside the gates
so
and see
fucking
it for
annoying to deal with.
themselves. The new owners have enforced a strict rule. No one is allowed past the gates, and pictures are only permitted from a distance. But those who visit the area describe something strange. Not ghosts or flickering lights, but something heavier, more real. A thick, intense aura, an unshakable feeling that something isn't right.
Because, dude, all you're thinking about is how, people died there. That's fucked up. Of course there's gonna be like an aura to it. John Cena sold his soul for real? Let's go, dude.
John Cena actually sold his soul. In early 2024,
dude.
John Cena
oh my god.
When he appeared
it was a humiliation ritual, guys.
Awards,
come on.
Using nothing but a giant envelope to cover himself while presenting an award. It was part of a comedic bit, meant to promote his new film, Ricky Stanicky, an R-rated comedy where Cena plays a bizarre, over-the-top character. But not everybody saw it as a joke.
Humiliation
Some
ritual.
believe that it wasn't just a publicity stunt, but something far much darker. A humiliation
Yes!
ritual. In conspiracy circles, public acts of embarrassment, especially by powerful celebrities, are sometimes seen as initiations into elite circles. Not just
what is this?
But for access.
What the fuck?
This theory suggests that the Oscar stunt was a public display to signify his loyalty to the hidden forces behind Hollywood.
Oh my
and the eeriest
god.
part, in WWE's current storyline, John Cena is a heel after selling his soul to The Rock. To some, that's just storytelling. To others, it's a reflection of reality.
Who the fuck is that?
A subtle confession disguised as fiction.
That's so funny.
And now we're moving down the iceberg into tier 5.
We go down?
With our first entry on tier 5 being Daniel Bryan.
Wait. Oh, I'm trying to think. There's a reason why he's a time traveler. It's because someone looked similar in like a photo from like 2003 or something.
One of the most bizarre cases of time travel in wrestling is to do with Bryan Danielson, formerly known as
this
Daniel
is a good one
Bryan,
though, if I remember.
WWE. It goes back to the late 80s. During a classic WWF show featuring the Brainbusters, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, managed by Bobby the Brain Heenan, versus some other wrestlers. In the background,
yeah, dude.
But when the viewers look closer,
that's Daniel Bryan right there, bro.
Unsettling. The man bore an uncanny resemblance to Daniel Bryan.
Not just any
version of him, but the Wyatt family Daniel.
Oh,
a look that Bryan wouldn't adopt until decades later, during his brief time aligned with Bray Wyatt. And yet, there he was, in the crowd, in the 1980s. Some say it's just a look-alike, and others believe it's Bryan Danielson himself.
I mean, it is a look-alike.
And up next, we have Jon Moxley Ghost Clock. While touring in England, Jon Moxley claims that he had an encounter with the other side. It happened at a hotel, but not just any hotel. It was a creepy castle hotel, the kind that feels centuries old, with walls that seem to watch you. Moxley went to work out in the gym's hotel, and he was on a tight schedule.
Work out in the gym's hotel.
Soon, so he kept checking the wall clock to keep track of time. But that's when things got a little bit strange. He noticed the clock's hands were moving backwards, ticking in reverse. But in true Mox fashion, he shrugged it off and kept training, until something else happened. As he glanced at the clock one more time, it suddenly froze, both hands snapping to midnight. That was it for Moxley. He dropped what he was doing and got the hell out of there. But what's even more chilling is that he also claimed that other people at the hotel reported strange, ghostly encounters too.
No,
and up next, we have the Green Cane Mandela.
He was never Green Cane. I wish he was Green Cane, but he was never Green Cane.
Strange memory shared by many wrestling fans. A memory of Kane, the big red machine, stepping into the ring wearing green. This wasn't just any green. It was a full green bodysuit, matching his alliance with D-Generation
Yes, because he was part of DX.
Some recall it vividly. The mask, the gear, the moment. Others even claim to have seen photos, or they swear it aired on TV. But here's the thing, it never ever happened. In 2022, on an episode of WWE's The Bump, Kane himself addressed the rumor by saying, "There's no green gear. There was never going to be any green gear, and there will never be green gear." So why do so many fans remember going to be any...
Kane's red and black all the way, man. I think that switching, that was the one thing that could just stay constant. You had a mask, no mask, back to a mask. Mask had different versions, costume had a different version. But the thing that always held together was the color scheme. That's fair. That would have been, so nuts.
Green gear. And there will never be green gear. So why do so many fans remember it differently?
Everyone wanted
it's a case of misremembered fan art or digital edits, but others believe it's an example of the Mandela effect. And up next, we have CM Punk Playground Ghost.
CM Punk Ghost story?
In 2007, not long after signing with WWE and joining the ECW reboot, CM Punk made an unexpected appearance on an episode of Ghost Hunters.
Oh.
He joined the crew at the Stanley Hotel in Colorado, a place known by many as the inspiration behind Stephen King's The Shining. And while Punk's known for his straight-edge lifestyle and no-nonsense attitude, what he experienced there left him rattled. While exploring the property, Punk explained that he experienced something strange. Shadows moving, the sound of footsteps running, and perhaps the most unsettling of all, children laughing. But the hotel was empty. No guests, no family, no children. He later said that the area felt like a playground filled with the sounds of life, despite being completely still. Even as a skeptic, he couldn't explain what he had encountered. He wasn't drunk, and he wasn't high.
Obviously.
And there was no logical reason for what he had experienced. But the Stanley Hotel has a history, a reputation for spirits that linger, sounds that shouldn't exist, and energies that seem to play tricks on the mind. And up next, we have the Y2J Countdown Mandela Effect.
Wait. Okay, wait. What Mandela effect could there be of that? I actually don't know what this could be. It counted down. It counted from like days, hours, minutes, seconds.
Countdown clock was the iconic digital timer that signaled the arrival of Chris Jericho to WWE.
Counting the millennium. Yes, this is what it looked like.
It went on for months.
671 hours. I don't know how many days that is.
Week after week, the countdown ticked away in the background of Raw, building tension.
Oh, in the background?
Hyping Jericho's debut as the millennium drew near. But here's the thing. That never happened. The clock first appeared on June 28, 1999, and Jericho debuted just 6 weeks later on August 9th. That's it. So why do so many people remember it lasting so much longer? Some say it's because Jericho reused the countdown gimmick for later returns, and fans just blurred the timeline. But others believe it's something.
His original run, it was only 6 weeks? It was only 6 weeks? So just a couple episodes every... I don't know, like, sure, bro, you saw it for months on end. I mean, 6 weeks is still, like, a month and a half?
Another case of the Mandela effect. And up next, we have Paige and the Whistling Ghost.
What the fuck?
Before she ever stepped into a WWE ring and became the youngest Divas champion in history, Paige had an encounter with something not from this world. When she was just 13 years old, she was walking up the stairs one quiet evening in her family home, and that's when she heard it. A faint whistling just behind her. She turned, but no one was there. She kept walking, and again the whistling followed. Panicked, Paige sprinted up the rest of the stairs and slammed the door shut behind her, but the spirit wasn't done. She heard footsteps approaching the door, and then silence. Terrified, Paige screamed. Her mother rushed in, and after calming her down, she revealed something chilling. One of the previous owners had died in that house, and according to her mom,
what is this footage?
The ghost wasn't ready to move on. To this day, Paige still swears by what she experienced. And up next, we have The Undertaker and Muhammad Hassan Mandela Effect. This one involved
Mandela Effect? What the fuck? What could be a Mandela Effect about this horrible, horrible angle? What's a Mandela Effect is why that man got the original IC championship in 2005. How the fuck he get his hands on that belt?
Involves The Undertaker, and it's one of the most infamous angles of the Ruthless Aggression era. In 2005, during a controversial segment on SmackDown...
How unbelievably uncomfortable those people in the front row are. That's insane.
Undertaker was attacked in the ring by a group of masked men, part of Muhammad Hassan's storyline faction. The angle aired on the exact same nights as the London bombings, which led to massive backlash against WWE for its chilling timing. But there's something else, something strange. Many fans vividly remember The Undertaker being carried out by those men.
I think, okay, that was the point. I think I've heard people mention that before, but I've never seen that. And actually, no, it wasn't The Undertaker that was carried out. It was Daivari, the manager, because Undertaker was wrestling Daivari. And it was that night, so it wasn't The Undertaker being carried out, it was Daivari being carried out. People are just misremembering it.
It's an image that stuck with people, a lasting visual, and they know they saw it, but it never happened. The man who was carried out that night was Sean Daivari, Hassan's manager. Still, thousands and thousands of fans insist on that image, that scene where the dead man was taken by force, like a sacrifice. So what is going on? Some say it's a simple case of confusion, others believe it's yet another Mandela effect. And up next we have the Chris Benoit
Oh, for fuck's sakes. No, I don't want to...
In an eerie coincidence, in WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2007, a cutscene in the game featured The Undertaker cutting a promo that seemed to foreshadow Chris Benoit's fate. What makes this unsettling is that the game was released before Benoit's death, and the promo's wording now feels strangely prophetic in hindsight.
If you insist on making this mistake, then your grieving family will have no one to blame but you when the inevitable occurs.
But that's not the only foreshadowing of the Chris Benoit tragedy.
That's unfortunate.
In what is now considered one of the most unsettling promos of his career, Chris Benoit once stood backstage, his face
This
covered
is just
in
an
blood,
unsettling promo.
his expression cold and intense. Looking straight into the camera, he delivered a line that, in retrospect, feels deeply disturbing. He said this: "My wife and children will not be watching Raw because I am going to do something that is unthinkable. I will leave you with my anger. Sleep well." At the time, the promo was meant to be just another intense, rage-filled moment from one of wrestling's most serious competitors.
That's so gross.
But after the horrific events of 2007, these words took on a far deeper meaning. Hearing those words now, knowing what was to come, sends chills down the spine. Was this just a scripted promo, or an eerie glimpse into the anger and torment that was already consuming Benoit's mind?
It wasn't that, but just gross.
Now we're moving further down the iceberg into Tier 4, with our first entry on Tier 4 being Chris Jericho.
Yes, I remember this story. Holy shit, I'm glad he talked about this.
Autobiography, A Lion's Tale Around the World in Spandex, Chris Jericho discussed his time working in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. During a show in Paintsville, Kentucky, Chris Jericho received a videotape from a female fan, and she claimed that it contained all of his SMW matches. In actuality, it contained a bizarre tribute to him, with the tape being commonly referred to as the Strange Kentucky People. The tape in question had incestual, not safe for work themes between the girl and her family, as well as her and her family doing some very outlandish
I love this legend.
things. Some people have speculated that the family inside the strange Kentucky People tape were actually demon-possessed, and that's what makes this entry so eerie. Jericho commented on the tape's content, stating that he was unsure why the fan gave him the tape, but proclaimed that it was more entertaining than a tape of his SMW matches.
What the fuck?
To Jericho,
what do you mean by that?
The recording ended up on the tape trading circuit. However, while the tape theoretically could still be in the possession of an avid tape collector, no footage or images of it have ever resurfaced. It has now become a holy grail among wrestling tape traders.
That's a good one.
And up next we have the Nikki Bella AC Ghost.
Oh, more ghost
Nikki
stories.
Bella, former WWE star and reality TV icon, was in Nashville, Tennessee celebrating Vicky Guerrero's birthday with friends from the business. It was a fun night, normal, nothing out of the ordinary, until she got back to her hotel room. She noticed something strange right away. The room was freezing, but the air conditioner was off. She brushed it off, maybe the system was glitchy. She went into the bathroom, ready to take off her makeup and call it a night. But that's when she heard it. The AC suddenly roared to life, loud and at full blast. Nikki walked over to the thermostat, but what she saw wasn't numbers. The screen was flickering. The numbers had been replaced with letters, trying to spell something.
So just
a word, a message, something.
Alright, dude.
But that was enough, and she ran out of the room to Renee Young's door across the hall. No explanation ever came. Maybe it was just a faulty
That's so
unit.
clearly a faulty
Maybe
unit.
something out of this world was trying to say something. And up next we have the Shawn Michaels
What?
heel turn Mandela effect.
When he, alright, this one's so dumb, bro. Alright.
The breakup of the Rockers is one of the most unforgettable moments in WWE history. Shawn Michaels turns on his tag team partner, Marty Jannetty, in the infamous barbershop segment. The betrayal, the glass, and the birth of the Heartbreak Kid happened in that moment. A lot of fans have a version of how it all went down. Shawn hit Jannetty with a super kick that sent him crashing through the barbershop window. That's the moment that they remember.
How?
The sweet chin music through the glass. But here's the truth. That never happened. Yes, Michaels hit Jannetty with a super kick, but the glass didn't shatter then. It wasn't the kick that sent him through the window.
He so clearly
because
threw
after
him out.
dropping Jannetty, Michaels picked him up and threw him
He didn't
through
kick
the
him
glass.
through it.
It was two separate actions and two separate beats. And yet, thousands of wrestling fans remember it as one. And up next we have the That's Gotta Be Kane Mandela effect. Some moments in wrestling are burned into our minds. As for many fans, the voice behind those moments is Jim Ross.
No, it wasn't Jim Ross. It was Vince McMahon. That's gotta be Kane. That's gotta be
Foley flying off
Kane.
the cell, Stone Cold's rise, and of course, Kane's debut.
Nope.
It was In Your House, Bad Blood, 1997. The first ever Hell in a Cell match between The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels.
Did he do it? Did he do the thing?
The first ever Hell in a Cell
didn't even
match
do it.
between
That's
The Undertaker
stupid.
and Shawn Michaels. The lights dimmed, the organ hit, and through the smoke, a towering red figure emerged with Paul Bearer
Did the
by his
music hit?
side.
I don't even remember.
Then came the line, loud, frantic, and iconic.
That just scared me.
Fans swear it was Jim Ross who
It
screamed
was Vince McMahon.
They can hear it in his Oklahoma drawl. But here's the twist. It wasn't Jim Ross, it was Vince McMahon. At the time, Vince McMahon was still on commentary, and he was the one that shouted that now famous phrase. But a lot of wrestling fans remember it differently, which is another Mandela effect. Maybe it's just the way our brains assign voices to emotion.
What?
Or maybe, in another version of reality, was Jim Ross who said it. And up next we have Dolph
What the
Ziggler
fuck?
encounters the devil. When Dolph Ziggler was just 4 years old, he started having a recurring vision. Not just once, but night after night. His closet door would burst open, and inside, he'd see it. Flames, red light, and something far more terrifying. A devil watching him from the shadows. His family, concerned but practical, came up with a plan. They gave young Dolph a baseball bat and had him wrap a crucifix around the closet door handle, just in case.
That's fucked up. That's how you spread your fucking. That's how you spread Christianity onto your little one, bro. That's fucked up. What the hell? Why is a kid seeing demons at 4? Why does he know what that is? What the fuck?
For a while, it worked, because the dream stopped and the closet stayed quiet. Until one night, feeling brave, Dolph left the crucifix off the door. Just once. And that night,
What is
the
this?
dream came back.
What is this?
That was the last time he ever slept in that room. Was it just a child's nightmare, or did Dolph Ziggler come face to face with something much darker lurking in the shadows, waiting for
I
him
didn't
to
even
let
know
his
this
guard
about him,
down?
bro. What the hell?
And up next, we have the Rock Brahma Bull belt.
The Brahma Bull belt was never on TV. It was never on TV. only through it was just made, never made it to TV.
Mandela effect. The Rock was one of the biggest stars of the Attitude Era, and just like Stone
Cold Steve Austin Smoking Skull Bolt made it to TV. Rock's Brahma Bull Belt never did.
Smoking Skull Championship. Fans remember The Rock having
his
own custom title too.
Fucking looks
the
horrible.
Brahma Bull Belt. But fans don't just remember it. They swear they saw him
He had his
wear
Smoking
it on
Skull
TV.
Bolt for that
the leather
photo.
strap, the bull's head, the attitude, everything about it screamed the people's champ. But the truth is that it never happened. The belt was real. WWE even had it made. Photos exist and replicas were sold. In 2024, The Rock even carried a modified version called the People's Championship. But the original Brahma Bull title was never ever used on WWE programming. The idea was scrapped before it ever made it to air. Was it the promos, the ads? Was this yet another Mandela effect? And now we're moving down the iceberg into Tier 3, with our first entry on Tier 3 being Aleister Black.
Oh, what the fuck? That's what... Alright, let's hear you connect these.
Mr. Crowley. Aleister Black has...
I want to hear him try to explain Aleister Crowley at all. Let's let Age of Wrestling cook here.
WWE after being in AEW for a few years, and throughout wrestling history, few characters have captured true darkness the way that Aleister Black has. But according to one chilling theory,
this guy's fucking
Aleister
cool,
Black
by the way.
Isn't just portraying a dark character. Some believe that he is the wrestling spiritual reincarnation of Aleister Crowley, the infamous occultist once called the wickedest man in the world. The parallels are unsettling. Both Crowley and Black were born into extreme religious environments, strict homes where fear and control shaped their early years, and both rebelled in terrifying ways. From a young age, they both became obsessed with forbidden knowledge, reading into esoteric, dark, and occult teachings
Black
that
really
most
do
would
this?
never dare touch. Black's body tells the story even deeper. His tattoos, from the Ave Satanis inscription to the Lucifer sigils, mirror Crowley's long-life devotion to occult symbolism. Even his name carries the weight of
Aleister,
theory.
yeah.
When signing with WWE, Tommy N became Aleister Black, a direct
You know, it's
nod.
crazy. I never
when
noticed
signing
he had, like, I guess, like, just having those tattoos on you and becoming, like, a famous person will get you that kind of spotlight, but I never knew he had, like, straight up occult symbolism on his body.
WWE, Tommy
I guess the big
N
demon on
became
his back
Aleister
should
Black,
been
a
a tap.
direct nod to Aleister Crowley. Crowley had changed his own name to Aleister based on mystical numerology, believing it would make him infamous. And now, history seemed to be repeating itself.
Honestly?
And then there's the Dark Father, first introduced when Aleister Black was on the main roster before he got fired. The Dark Father was a shadowy figure inside Black's story who slowly corrupted him, just as Crowley believed in spirits guiding him toward darker enlightenment. The black mist that Black spits out is also said to carry a curse, not just hurting opponents physically, but spiritually. This arc continued on into AEW, and some resisted the mist and some completely fell. Aleister Black will one day be no more. Only the spirit of Aleister Crowley will remain, wearing a wrestler's body like a mask.
Honestly, that just makes his career, like his character, just seem really cool and interesting and something to look into. DX never rode a tank. They rode a Jeep with like a missile on it to WCW.
You have DX rides a tank, Mandela effect. Ask almost any wrestling fan today about the Monday Night Wars, and one of the things that they bring up is when D-Generation X invaded
25 years
WCW's
ago, guys. We need to
Monday
move
Nitro.
on.
In their minds, it's crystal clear. D-Generation X riding in on a tank, heading straight toward enemy territory. The imagery feels larger than life, iconic and undeniable. But here's the thing, it never happened, because DX never rode a tank. They pulled up in a Jeep, a regular Jeep with a toy cannon strapped on top. No treads, no heavy machinery. Yet today, countless fans vividly...
The fact that he has like those fake guns out is actually kind of crazy in today's world, not gonna lie.
Remember it as a full-blown military tank. Maybe the rebellious spirit of DX made the moment feel bigger than it was. Or maybe, somewhere in a different version of reality, they really did roll up in a tank.
Right.
And up next we have Renee Young's Haunted
stories.
House. Some wrestlers claim to have crossed paths with the paranormal. Before Renee Young, the haunting didn't just happen once, it was her entire childhood. In a 2015 interview, Renee revealed that she grew up in a haunted house in Ontario, Canada. Not just creaky floors and cold spots, but something much darker. Because between the hours of 3 a.m. and 4 a.m., The time often called
that is the haunted hour.
Renee and her brother would hear loud banging sounds above their heads, coming from the ceiling of their bedrooms. When friends came over for sleepovers, they too would hear it. Footsteps, pacing slowly up and down the stairs, even when no one was there. The presence was undeniable, and sometimes strangely even helpful. Renee claimed that the spirit would occasionally empty the dishwasher, almost as if it wanted to earn its keep. But even after leaving that house behind, Renee believes the ghost never really left her. And up next, we have the origins of Japanese black mist.
You know what? I don't know where Japanese black mist comes from, so hopefully I will learn something from this.
In wrestling, the black mist has always seemed like just another trick. A burst of dark spray used to blind an opponent and steal a victory. But if you dig deeper, the story behind it becomes much darker. The black mist tradition began in Japanese wrestling, first used by the great Kabuki, and later made famous by the great Muta. Different mist colors mean different things. Green is just blinded, red is burned, but black means the soul is corrupted, and the symbolism doesn't stop there. In ancient Japanese mythology, many yokai, supernatural creatures, could curse or sicken humans with their black mist. Spirits like the Nue or the Onryo brought misfortune, disease, and death. The concept of spiritual impurity, known as kegare, runs deep in Japanese belief. Darkness that clings onto you and corruption that stains your soul. So in wrestling, when a wrestler used the black mist in Japan, it wasn't just an attack, it was a curse. It blinded the body, but marked the spirit. And up
was
next,
that
we
it?
have Xavier Woods.
Oh, okay. And they just talk about the deeper meaning of using black mist. I kind of wish that was followed through more, like, properly in the wrestling world. I wish that kind of lore actually carried on from other stuff. Like if you wanted to get a guy to become a heel after being a face spraying with black mist, that'd be really cool. I like the idea of having the different mists being different levels of pain, I guess, but I don't think it's very true. That's very cool though. What in the world is this?
As a child, future multi-time WWE Tag Team Champion and member of the New Day, Xavier Woods had an encounter that still haunts him. Growing up, Woods had several stuffed animals in his room, but one night he claims that one of them came to life. Woods woke up to find one of his stuffed panda bears sitting in his room, holding a knife. The bear spoke to him, and it said that it was going to murder him and then eat him. Terrified, Woods wet the bed in fear, then sprinted out of his room to find his father. His dad, trying to calm him down, told him it was just a dream, but Woods wasn't convinced. He demanded the panda be removed and destroyed. His father agreed. Also, Woods thought. Weeks later, digging through a closet, he found the panda again, hidden but not destroyed. Furious and terrified, he demanded that the bear be dealt with properly. This time, Woods made sure that it was done right, as the panda was set on fire and burned to ashes. And up next we have the dog poop on a plate match Mandela effect.
What the hell's the Mandela effect about that? Rocked bottom, Davey Boy Smith, on like a plate, essentially a sheet of dog poop. What?
One of the stranger Mandela effects in wrestling centers around The Rock and the British Bulldog. Many longtime fans will confidently tell you about the time the two squared off in a bizarre match.
It's that it was the match, and then it was a stipulation. No, it wasn't. It was just a spot that they did. They had dog poop out there, and there's no dog poop match. It's just a spot where The Rock bottom, Davey Boy Smith on a bunch of dog shit. That's it.
Match. A dog poop on a plate match. It's described with detail. The Rock and the Bulldog battling it out, with dog feces as part of the match stipulation.
Oh, ew. I just realized what I was looking at.
Bulldog battling it out, with Asian and the smell of it all. The only problem, that match never happened. The Rock only had 2 singles matches against the British Bulldog. Which is crazy. And while there was a moment involving dog poop, it wasn't during a match. On the October 4, 1999 edition of Monday Night Raw, during an in-ring segment, The Rock slammed the British Bulldog into a pile of dog feces, but there was no official dog poop on a plate match. Yet somehow, the memory persists. Maybe it's just memory playing tricks on us. Or maybe, somewhere in a timeline that's just slightly different than ours,
but
there really was a match for it.
I think that's why people remember it, because that's a good idea. But, nope, just a spot. Really gross.
And up next, we have Roddy Piper and the
Oh, this is sad.
Adonis. Roddy Piper wasn't just known for his wild promos.
This one's going to be really sad.
He was also known for believing in something beyond this world. According to Piper, the spirit of his close friend and fellow wrestler, Adrian Adonis, never left him. In life, Adonis had been one of Roddy's dearest friends, the man who encouraged him to buy his first home when he was just 22. Years after Adonis's tragic death in a car accident in 1988, Piper claimed that his spirit was still with him, and not just in memory. One night, Piper said that his house nearly caught fire, but something stopped it, and he believed that it was Adrian. He claims that as the flames threatened to spread, he saw Adrian put out the fire, and then after that Adrian said, "Hey Roddy," then disappeared. Roddy never doubted what he saw. Some say grief can play tricks on the mind. Others believe that some bonds don't end with death. And now moving down the
like this guy whispering in my ear.
into Tier 2, with our first entry on Tier 2 being
Dude, these are real people. That's what's really fucked up about like these ghost stories of like, not that last one. That one was kind of wholesome, but like, bro, haunting of a guy. Like this is a real man who was murdered, like while trying to perform. And now it's like, oh, his ghost haunts like Puerto Rico, and it's like, bro, this is a guy that just died.
On July 16, 1988,
so let's hear about how he died.
Wrestling legend Bruiser Brody was murdered in the locker room showers of the WWC arena in Bayamon, Puerto Rico. The man who killed him, wrestler Jose Gonzalez, called him into the showers for a private conversation, and what happened next was chaos.
He was stabbed to death.
A knife, then a body bleeding on the floor, then a slow ambulance, and unfortunately, Bruiser Brody died that night. But some say the ghost of his spirit never left that locker room. In the wrestling world, it's simply known as Brody's locker room. To this day, wrestlers who've toured Puerto Rico speak in hushed tones about that shower room. They say there's a weight in the air, a stillness that doesn't feel like peace. Some feel cold spots near the showers.
Again, this is just people being like, damn, a guy really just died here.
Some refuse to change in that room out of respect, and others out of fear.
That's gotta be so annoying for the promoter. Just be like, a bunch of guys asking for a different locker room. It's like, guys, please, come on. It costs me money here. IC Championship Mandela Effect. It says South America here. Okay. I can guess this one. It's when the Intercontinental Championship was formed. Basically, was made. It was done so by unifying the North American Championship and the South American Championship together to become the Intercontinental Championship. South American Championship never existed. WWE just totally made that up and just came out of nowhere and said that. And you know, it was 1979. They couldn't disprove it. No one could. They just had to take them at their word. So.
And up next we have the Intercontinental Championship, South America, Mandela Effect. Some Mandela effects are simple misrememberings. Others believe something
how is this like the biggest one?
Physical traces of a world that no longer exists. One of the strangest collective memories out there is about the location of South America. Many people vividly recall it being positioned further west, almost directly under North America, not tilted off to the side as it is now. It sounds unbelievable, but this is a real Mandela effect.
What the fuck is this? Who made this map right here? Huh? That looks so off. Central America, whatever.
That many people believe. And then you look at one of wrestling's most iconic titles, the Intercontinental Championship. If you take a closer look, there, etched in gold, South America appears in a position that doesn't match
Dude,
today's
it's just...
maps. It looks different.
It looks different. Look at all these other fucking countries, bro. That was it?
Like it belongs to another version of Earth entirely. For believers, the old Intercontinental title is residual evidence of physical
You want a
artifact.
detailed ass looking fucking like continent on this belt?
From a parallel timeline where geography itself was different. A world where South America hadn't shifted to its current place.
Oh my god.
Skeptics chalk it up to design error.
It's not even error, it's just...
Okay, you can't. Up next we have Baron Corbin's ghost room and the man in the grey suit. Former WWE superstar Baron Corbin revealed on Not Sam Wrestling that he's had 2 ghost encounters, and both left their mark. The first took place in a house where he and his roommates lived, and a certain room in the house they nicknamed the ghost room. And this was not for no reason, because at night they would hear it. A woman's laughter, faint
Jesus
but undeniable.
fucking hell.
Doors creaking without a cause. Weird sensations like someone standing just out of sight. All of his roommates experienced it too. The second encounter was a little different. While he was at his grandmother's house, Corbin saw something he could never explain. A man wearing a grey suit standing there like a smudge on film. Almost real, but not quite. He rubbed his eyes, and then he was gone. But then he went downstairs, and the figure was there again. This time, it felt terrifying. Corbin claims that he doesn't know what he saw that day. A lost soul? A guardian?
To clean his glasses.
Something much darker. And up next, we have the Chavo Guerrero Sinbad Mandela effect.
What could this one be? Sinbad. Like he was in the movie? What?
One of the most iconic Mandela effects of all time is the mysterious movie called Shazam, a 90s film that tens of thousands of people around the world vividly remember. The memory is oddly specific. Sinbad, the comedian, playing a bumbling but lovable genie in a family comedy. But here's the glitch. There was no such movie. There was never a Shazam starring Sinbad, only Kazam with Shaquille O'Neal, which for many is not the movie they remember. Then it got weirder. A few years back, an image surfaced online, a VHS copy of Shazam, seemingly real.
Oh my god, that is Chavo Guerrero. They just put his...
It was proof, the forgotten tape that validated their memories. But when it was examined more closely, it wasn't what it seemed. The image was photoshopped, and the body on the cover wasn't Sinbad's at all. It was actually Chavo Guerrero, the wrestler. It was a hoax, but a seemingly convincing one. Still, for many believers, it wasn't a joke.
I get this shit, like, fucked up a lot, because I'm trying to remember which one is the real one, which one isn't the real one, because I've never seen Kazam, or Shazam, but it's Shaq with Kazam.
It was residual evidence, a glitch in the fabric of memory. And up next we have Adam Rose.
Oh, well, Baby. Adam Rose, okay.
Wrestling has had its fair share of dark backstories, but Adam Rose, a former WWE superstar, carries a story that isn't just unsettling, it's spiritually terrifying. What many people don't know is that Adam Rose is South African, and he grew up in a household deeply connected to the spiritual world, as his father was a priest, and that came with experiences most would never believe. One story in particular stuck with him. When Adam Rose was younger, him and his family claimed to be hearing thumping sounds on the roof of their home. Not random creaks, but steady, deliberate pounding, like someone was up there, alive. They checked, but nothing. No intruders, no animals, no explanation. But that's when Rose's father stepped in. What he found, according to Adam, wasn't just a ghost. It was actually something demonic.
Oh shit.
Adam's father then proceeded to do an exorcism, and then something terrifying happened. Small baby handprints began to appear on the ceiling, as if a child was trying to break through from the other side. According to Rose, a child had died in that attic, and whatever remained behind was desperate to tell the story. No one ever found the full truth.
That's so fucked up for, like, a kid to, like, just watch their parents do. Imagine, like, your dad is a priest and he actually has to perform an exorcism. Like, that's fucked up. That's really fucked up.
But those tiny handprints, smudged in desperation on the ceiling, left a mark that Adam Rose could never forget.
I imagine those handprints also just existed before and they just never noticed until that moment, but damn. I'd be traumatized as hell if my fucking dad just started performing an exorcism and was like, look at those handprints on the fucking window!
And up next we have wrestlers refusing to stay at the 5-star hotel.
Why?
In Milwaukee, there's a hotel that athletes quietly fear. Not because of the service or the rooms, but because of something far more unsettling.
Again, this is so fucked up for the hotel. Like, guys, come on. There's nothing here.
The 5-star hotel,
what happened here?
Built in 1893, is a grand historic building and one of the most notoriously haunted hotels in America. Major League Baseball players have spoken openly about it. Bryce Harper, Carlos Gomez,
why just MLB
Giancarlo Stanton, and others have shared stories of unexplainable things happening in that hotel, like objects.
Oh fucking hell! Don't give me these.
Also things like lights flickering, phantom knocks on the door,
don't show me
from
this.
Nowhere, and even shadowy figures
really
on the edge of the bed. Some players are so disturbed by the 5-star they've refused to stay there ever again, choosing to book different accommodations out of their own
this is actual
pocket,
footage
no
too
matter the cost.
from 5-star. Oh, that's really cool.
And while wrestlers might not share their stories publicly, they talk too. When WWE comes through Milwaukee, it's alleged that many wrestlers intentionally avoid the 5-star because of the things that they've heard. Wrestlers pay for the hotel rooms out of their own pockets, and they intentionally avoid the 5-star. So when Milwaukee hits the wrestling schedule, wrestlers make sure to sleep
remember that.
else.
That's fucked up though, dude. If the lights flickered like that, I'm not a person that believes in ghosts, but if the lights flickered like that in my hotel room, dude, I'm out of there.
And now we're at the bottom tier.
Oh my god, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 topics left. What the fuck is this guy gonna say?
Tier 1. With our first entry on Tier 1, the clique is Illuminati. In the mid-90s, a group of 5 men quietly took over the
this
wrestling
is a secret
world.
symbol.
Shawn Michaels, Triple
Secret
H,
symbol.
Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Sean Weltman, together known as the clique. Their mission was
Hey,
simple:
wrestle with Andy.
rise to the top of the wrestling industry at all costs. And they did. Triple H and Shawn Michaels became untouchable in WWE. Meanwhile, Hall and Nash were running the scene in WCW. But this conspiracy suggests that the success wasn't just about politics.
Isn't it crazy that like none of these guys ever had to do like any independent wrestling at all, aside from maybe Kevin Nash because he was Oz?
It was something much darker. According to this,
but even then, that was in WCW.
The clique sold their souls to the devil to achieve power, fame, and total control. The evidence, it's symbolic but unsettling. NWO's iconic Too Sweet hand gesture is said to resemble devil horns, a quiet nod to the forces they're allegedly aligned with.
Can't do any hand signs.
The faction names were even more suspicious. The New World Order shares its name with a notorious conspiracy.
Alright, that's like, okay, I can't defend that one. They literally did call themselves the New World Order.
Elite working to establish global totalitarian control. And Degeneration X, a name that in its theory symbolizes cultural decay, a movement meant to glamorize rebellion, degeneration, and spiritual disconnection, all tools to weaken the masses, especially the youth. Together, these factions served a purpose: to normalize chaos, promote moral decay, and clear the way for control by higher, darker power. Some say it was just branding, while others believe it was intentional programming.
Dude, this is like, wow. I wonder if that theory has just existed forever. Because like late 90s, bro. I mean, we're post Satanic Panic, I think, at this point, but damn, bro, someone must have been like, hey, that's crazy. All of culture was like this, though. Like, everyone was just saying fuck the government in the late 90s.
Profited by a group who knew exactly what they were doing.
It was just a move.
And when you look at the influence they had,
that's so funny,
the
though.
power they wielded, the doors
they were
opened,
massive politicians,
it makes
too.
you wonder, how much do they really give up to get to the top? And up next, we have Vince McMahon, a Freemason. Behind the empire that is WWE stands one man, Vince McMahon, a visionary, tyrant, and a legend. And according to some, a man who owed his power to something far more sinister than ambition alone. There is a theory, whispered in the dark corners of wrestling lore, that Vince McMahon was not an entertainment mogul. He was a high-ranking Freemason. But to understand all of this more, we have to delve deeper into what Freemasonry is. Freemasonry is a secretive fraternal organization that traces its origins back centuries, with deep connections to ritualistic ceremonies, numerology, and power structures across the world. Many conspiracy theorists believe that Freemasons hold influence over politics, information, entertainment, and global events, pulling strings behind the scenes. WWE, under his command, wasn't just a wrestling company. It was a tool, a vessel for larger agendas.
I could see that. I think a lot of wrestling ideas are reflections of culture at the time, whatever time period you look at them. So I could see that idea, but I think that was just a Vince McMahon idea, just to be like, hey, he really stood on top of what will get him money, good or bad. So
this theory finds its roots in several chilling details. The rise of WWE into a cultural monopoly mirrors the Masonic ideal of domination through influence. It's alleged that inside the Titan Towers, WWE...
That's also interesting. Vince McMahon really did brute force his way into becoming the biggest promotion organization of wrestling, so I don't know why I'm giving these guys so many credit. This is so much credit, because it's very much not true. And what he's about to say here is going to be even more insane. Inside of Titan Towers, WWE's
corporate headquarters, there's rumored to be a Masonic lodge, a chamber reserved for private rituals.
They've moved out of that building now. I think surely somebody would have noticed if there was.
And Masonic ceremonies. It is said that this room exists outside of public tours, hidden away behind innocuous doors, waiting for the right moment and the right people. This theory gained even more traction after Vince McMahon's sudden and dramatic retirement in July of 2022, a move that many saw not as a personal decision, but as a humiliation ritual, a standard method used within secret societies to signal the transition of power. The ritualistic elements were hard to ignore. The numerology tied to his retirement also fit into this theory. Dates, announcement times, and gematria connections pointed towards the numbers 33,
What
47,
the fuck?
and even 666, all heavily significant in occult and
Are we serious? August 24th, he retired on July 22nd. That's only 33 days before his upcoming birthday.
Masonic traditions. To the untrained eye,
What?
Vince's fall looked like karma. Or the
July 22nd even comes with a double 33-day numerology. 7 plus 22 plus 2 twos is 33, but also 7 plus 2 plus 2 plus 22 is 33. It was 33 days before his 77th. That equals 110.
ending of a long
Oh, and the Freemasons is 77 too.
controversial career.
Secret Society, United States. It's all 77.
A planned ritual marking the closing of one.
Oh, and July 22nd can be written as 22-7 or 227,
Era,
which is an ancient and accepted Scottish rite of Freemasonry.
and the opening of an.
Circumscribe our desires and keep our passions within due bonds. 227.
Another. And up next,
Okay, wow. This is horrible. This one's horrible. This is horrible.
we have the Ultimate Warrior sacrificed. The death of the Ultimate Warrior in
This is
2014
horrible.
shocked the wrestling world, but some believe it wasn't just a
I
tragic
remember this so vividly, man. This was so fucked up.
coincidence. They believe it was a ritual sacrifice.
Like, literally, the timing of events, right? Saturday, he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. I remember this video because I was watching. On a Saturday, April 4th, he was inducted to the Hall of Fame. Sunday, April 5th, he appeared at WrestleMania. Oh, so sorry. Saturday, April 5th, and then April 6th, he appeared at WrestleMania. April 7th, he gave this promo on Raw, right? Like, how he is now. April 7th, and then April 8th morning, he died. Which, insane timing for a person to die.
Hidden in plain sight. The timeline is.
I literally couldn't believe it when I was told of it. Like literally, I just saw you on TV, and the next day he was dead.
On April 5th, the Warrior appeared at the WWE.
Yeah. Oh, he's gonna explain everything I just
the
did.
next day, on April 6th, he appeared at WrestleMania.
He buried the
30.
hatchet. That's crazy.
The next day, on April 7th, he delivered a haunting speech on Monday Night Raw, speaking about spirit, legacy, and death. On April 8th, just one day after telling fans that no one truly dies, he collapsed and died. Theorists point to those three appearances on the Hall of Fame,
Insane
WrestleMania, and
timing.
Raw, as a symbol of ancient death and resurrection cycles, much like the sun dying during eclipses or winter solstices.
What?
They call it the ultimate eclipse sacrifice.
Ultimate?
In occult traditions,
Like
solar
the
eclipses
Ultimate
often
Warrior?
symbolize death, cosmic resets, and transitions of power. Through the lens
Oh,
of
for fuck's
Masonic
sakes, we're back here. Okay. Warrior, born Brian James Helwig, died on April 8th, 2014. Measuring from that date to the second great American total solar eclipse, 10 years to the day. He died on a Tuesday following three straight days. What is this website? Gematrinator. What the fuck? The first time he appeared for the company since leaving under acrimonious circumstances in 1996.
numerology and gematria, eerie patterns
In Francis Bacon's Gematria, the Ultimate Warrior is 314.
appear. The word sun shares numeric
Eclipse
connection to the warrior's
is also 314.
age of death, which is 54.
Circles is 314.
Warrior's final speech, where he also foreshadows
This is also
his own
just
demise,
super
fits the
fucked up.
pattern of predictive programming often associated with occult ritual
Predictive
theories.
programming?
Official reports listed his cause of death as natural heart failure. No signs of foul play were ever found, but the timing, the symbolism, the message, it leaves a heavy question lingering. Was the Ultimate Warrior's final battle already written by forces far
It
beyond
was super
the squared
fucked up
circle?
timing though.
And up next we have Vince McMahon's sacrifice.
I didn't think it'd get as horrifically like disgusting as we've just gotten to right now. What? Are we serious?
A growing theory claims that Owen Hart's death was not an accident. It was a ritualistic sacrifice, orchestrated by one man, Vince McMahon. But when you look closer, the signs around Owen's death become harder to ignore. According to conspiracy theorists, Vince McMahon held a deep grudge against the Hart family, and this was primarily for two reasons.
So you kill
Owen's
no.
brother, Bret Hart, humiliated Vince McMahon during the infamous Montreal Screwjob. And the other reason is that Owen himself had accidentally broken Stone
Oh my god. What
Cold
the
Steve
fuck?
Austin's neck, almost
What
crippling
the
Vince
fuck?
McMahon's biggest star during the peak of the Monday Night Wars with WCW. For Vince, some believe the Hart family had become a problem that had to be buried. They point to Vince burying Owen with the humiliating Blue Blazer gimmick, relegating a world-class wrestler to a cartoonish mid-card joke, setting the stage for the ultimate humiliation. And then came the day that he died, May 23, 1999. But the coincidence doesn't end there. Exactly 1 year to the day before Owen Hart's death, on May 23, 1998, an episode of Batman,
Are we serious?
the animated series, aired an episode called Over the Edge. And that same name of that episode of Batman was the same name as the pay-per-view where Owen
happened
died
on that
at,
episode?
Over the Edge. But the eeriness doesn't end there. In that episode, Batgirl falls from a rooftop to her death, leading to grief, revenge, and chaos. To some, this isn't just a coincidence. It is seen as satanic foreshadowing, a symbolic prophecy used in ritualistic sacrifice to bind the act with dark forces.
Okay, obviously it's just a coincidence, but oh, that's terrible. This is all so terrible.
Only adds more fuel to the fire. Just 4 months after Owen Hart's death, WWE went public, launching on the stock market, securing millions, and ushering in an era of corporate dominance Vince had long dreamed of. Some say that Owen Hart was sacrificed in order for WWE to be successful on the stock market. Publicly, it was mourned as a tragedy, but many people also claim that it was a deeply carefully timed ritual, a sacrifice hidden in plain sight.
Alright, so you went crazy on Fortune.
And now we're at the bottom of the iceberg, with our last entry being Vince McMahon sacrificed.
Whoa. How did we get here? How did he even sacrifice a murderer? Holy hell. Jesus, man.
Chris Benoit.
You need Jesus.
The theory goes that Chris Benoit was not just a troubled wrestler who snapped. He was a chosen sacrifice. Vince McMahon, as a high-ranking Freemason, orchestrated his death by sending a professional hit on Chris Benoit and his family as an offering to the Dark Forces, ensuring the future success for WWE as a transition into its PG era. Because as soon as Benoit died, WWE ditched the blood and guts product that they were known for and adopted a more family-friendly PG product. Some believe that this was no coincidence. Nancy and Daniel were found with a Bible placed next to them, a seemingly religious gesture, but some believe that this has deeper meaning. Conspiracy theorists argue that placing the Bibles next to each body was not a sign of remorse, but a symbolic offering. Another piece of evidence is Benoit's name and Freemasonry numerology. The name Christopher Benoit has numerological values.
Christopher. I don't think he's ever been called that. Was that? That might have been his real name, actually. What the fuck? That'd be such a cool. This would be such a cool website to just like put in an event of some kind, and then just like tell it to just connect it to it somehow, and see what you can come up with. The last name Benoit shares 29 reduction gematria with Jesus.
Match key Masonic numbers. The number 290 appears multiple times in Benoit's life and death, and it matches significant Freemason events. Benoit died exactly 290 years after the founding of the Premier Grand Lodge of England, the very birth of modern Freemasonry. Another piece of evidence is the eclipse sacrifice theory. This theory suggests that Benoit was not just murdered, he was ritually sacrificed during a significant astrological period. Benoit's death happened 64 weeks and 4 days after a major solar eclipse, a timing that conspiracy theorists claim aligns with...
Alright, that's not even like a... Oh, because 644? Whoa, on the date of his death, he's exactly 14,644 days old. His death fell 6 to 4 weeks, 4 days after the most recent total solar eclipse.
Called sacrifices in history. Eclipses are often linked to major Masonic rituals, representing rebirth through destruction. And then there's the connection to Eddie Guerrero's death. Eddie Guerrero died exactly 84 weeks before Benoit, a number that holds deep occult meaning. Is this just a coincidence?
All numbers hold
was
deep
Benoit
occult
chosen
meaning.
as an offering, his life taken to ensure McMahon's empire would continue to thrive? Of course, there is no hard evidence that McMahon was ever involved, but for those who believe in the darker forces behind the wrestling industry,
holy shit, man.
Benoit's death wasn't just another tragedy. It was a ritual, a sacrifice, a debt paid in blood. If you'd like to find out all the eerie aspects of the Chris Benoit tragedy, you should definitely...
Holy shit, dude, that got dark as hell. I'm sure the comments are really great on this. He liked his own pinned comment. That's really cool. Yeah. Don't forget the psychological mystery of why Jericho refuses to retire. Come on, man. That's fucked up. Yeah. I took a shot every time you mentioned them. I wouldn't be able to drive. Well, if you take one shot, you probably wouldn't be able to drive. CM Punk, well, hey, come on, man. Shut up. Nobody knew who CM Punk was before that night in 2004. Nobody knew. As a warning to people, when you time travel, make sure you don't get stuck here. If there's any time travelers watching this, there you go. Oh, for fuck's sakes. It's really fishy. It's like there's an episode of Batman released exactly a year to the day before, almost with the same name as the pay-per-view he died on, with the episode having a synopsis of the exact same way that Owen died is really, really fishy. Wow. It's like, so they knew? Holy shit. I promise you it's hell in this hell. The Chris Jericho thing can be CTE. What the fuck? Oh, okay. I've been saying this for years. John Cena pulled a rock and sold his soul to the devil. But people told me I'm nuts. They told me I was crazy. Maybe, but I was still right. Dude, what 14-year-ass child wrote this fucking comment? And don't forget, Bray Wyatt died on Vince McMahon's birthday, and that's when WWE sold to TKO. Some people say he sacrifices wrestlers on his birthday to live longer. But also, there's lots of rumors of WWE poisoning the Ultimate Warrior, and that's why he passed the next day. Holy shit, dude, I just got darker. Dude, every single time a wrestler dies, they get even more money. Holy shit, maybe the sacrifice thing is actually true. I found it eerie how satanic the early Attitude Era was in the late 90s. You got Ministry of Darkness, the Acolytes, the Brood, lots of interesting symbols in their attire. I mean, again, that was just kind of the vibe of the 90s, though. Oh, nice. Those WWF ice cream bars were so delicious, but every time I had one, I always got George Animal Steel. Every single time. My Mandela effect would be that the WWF only made George the Animal Steel ice cream bars. The John Cena one is real, not a conspiracy. If you think he didn't sell a soul, then you're a conspiracy theorist. Holy shit, he's turning it around on me. Same shit with Snoop Dogg and a shitload of other celebrities. What did Snoop Dogg do to get publicly embarrassed? Rip Sabu, for real, man. He got sacrificed though. That was a sacrifice that GCW had to make, because now they're gonna, dude, GCW's now gonna be sold to WWE, and that's what it took for it to happen, was his death. Pointing out small details that I also did. Yo, 2 John Cenas? Holy shit, man. I can't keep going with this. We're getting too deep. I mean, that was a good video. It was fun, interesting, but pretty deep. Pretty dark.